This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
And welcome. You're here live with Dr. Jeff Werber, your host here for the next 30 minutes here on Pet Life Radio's Ask the Vet with Dr. Jeff, along with my Instagram live. And so anything you want to talk about, we're here for you. We're here for your pets. We're going to have some fun and maybe learn something. Maybe. Hope we learn something. Anyway, get a hold of me, 877-385-8882. Once again, toll free, 877-385-8882. You can also join me here live on Pet Life Radio. You just go onto Pet Life Radio and you click on shows and you can just join us here. There's a Zoom link left for you by Mark, our producer, and you can join me live here on Instagram. You're already live. Just anything you want to talk, just type it in. Make sure your audio is on, make sure your video is on, and we can see you here live on Pet Life Radio. And that's kind of what we want to do. And of course, we have some questions. I'm Dr. Jeff Werber and wearing a blue shirt. Apparently someone commented asking, how many blue shirts do I have? Well, I have a lot, but no two are alike. I happen to like blue. Okay, first one. What is your opinion on CBD for pain in dogs? So I am a fan of CBD. I've had my dogs on CBD in the past. One of my dogs, my past dog, Pierce, who had cancer, was on CBD. You know, it's in California. It's been very difficult for us. We can't really prescribe it. We can't sell products with it. Now there's something new that if the CBD is derived 100%, right, from industrial hemp, then it's okay. Of course, for people, you can get it anywhere. So it's kind of crazy. But there is a lot we don't know about it. So I would definitely check with your veterinarian, ask if your veterinarian has experience with it. If you have any questions, talk to a veterinarian in Colorado because they've been using it for the longest time. But, you know, dosing is something to be concerned about. We know what the LD50 is, a very toxic dose, but we don't know at what point do we start seeing toxicity. Typically the toxicity anyways because of the THC, not the actual CBD. So I found it to be effective for many things in many dogs. More research needs to be done on a grander scale, but check with your vet or, as I said, try to find a veterinarian in Colorado who've been using it probably for a while and to get the scoop. But I would give it a shot. Next one, good question, a little sad. Why does hemangiosarcoma go unnoticed in dogs until it's too late? Well, you know, a couple of reasons. First of all, in many tumors, by the time they're noticed, they have to be either large enough to be seen, especially if they're inside in the body, or affecting another organ, which can be then monitored. The problem with hemangiosarcoma, typically it starts in the spleen. The spleen itself is a sort of storage for red blood cells. It has immune function, which is good, but there are no enzymes necessarily that we can measure to determine the spleen. Now we can see it on ultrasound, we can see it on x-ray. So, I mean, if we're lucky enough to have done an x-ray for another reason and see this huge spleen, or doing an ultrasound and see this huge spleen, we may not notice until, unfortunately, it ruptures, starts bleeding, and then you could see the problem because they're bleeding into the abdomen, whether it's hemangiosarcoma, hemangioma, which is the benign form of tumor, or a splenic hematoma, which is like a huge blood blister. If they rupture and bleed, then we start seeing dogs that are anemic. We see their bellies filling up with blood, with fluid, turns out to be blood, and then it becomes from something that might be elective to a major emergency. So it's sad, but oftentimes we're lucky enough to get it early enough to at least remove the spleen, stop the bleeding, and then at least determine what the problem was. So anyway, it's a great question, and it's just a sad thing that it's one of those tumors that until it ruptures or gets big enough or until you're lucky enough to have seen it beforehand, you may never know it's there. Next question. It says, my Frenchie, 1 year and 3 months, only has one testicle. Is it absolutely necessary to neuter? Well, let's first of all straighten one. He has two testicles. Only one descended into the scrotum. The other one is either in the flank or it is inside the abdomen. If it's in the abdomen, I mean, first of all, I recommend neutering anyway, unless, of course, you have the very expensive breeding dog, which you wouldn't want to breed if he is a monorchid, which means only has one testicle descended. Cryptorchid means neither one has descended. They're both either in the flank or in the abdomen or any combination thereof. More important to neuter a dog who has an abdominal testicle. Why? Because that testicle is now exposed to body temperature, which in a dog is 100 to 102, 102 and a half. versus ambient temperature, which is what a testicle in the scrotum might be, because the scrotal wall is very thin. And so the temperature inside the scrotum is not as great or as high as the temperature within the body. So as these testicles, these non-descendant testicles, are exposed to a hotter body temperature, they are more prone to developing cancer. So we absolutely recommend going in surgically. You have to find the testicle, remove them both. Don't use the excuse, well, just remove one. You got to remove both because you don't want to use this dog for breeding anyway, because it's a trait they can pass on. So non-descendant testicles definitely should be removed. It would be dangerous to not remove them. And from a breeding perspective, it would not be wise or ethical to breed anyway. So my recommendation, get your pets neutered. And if there is a non-descendant testicle, you got to go in after it. So there you have it. Here we go. Another Frenchie question. Is it a good idea to add bone broth to my 4-month-old Frenchie's kibble? That's a new thing. I'm hearing a lot about bone broth. I think on the human side, it's also something that it has a lot of benefits. Personally, I haven't had experience with it, so I can't tell you for sure you want to do it. I can probably tell you it won't hurt. Certainly, if it helps with your dog eating the kibble, because the added bone broth, then sure, it's a good idea. But it's something that I think there needs to be more research done. Might talk to a veterinarian, might go online to find some more work on bone broth in dogs. But as I said, I do know that in people, that's becoming one of the hot topics. So check it out. And, instead of me always answering these questions, why don't you answer my question? And if you can find something out, you can let us know. My dog has been itching on Cytopoint already, and it's on flea meds as well. Any advice? So first of all, and Cytopoint, as much as I love it, it's not the end-all cure-all. Sometimes I've had to actually use Cytopoint along with Apoquel. And really depending on the nature, the underlying cause of the allergy, and if it's a true allergy that follows the cascade of events that causes the itching, then they may not work at all. So for your classic allergy that is mediated by interleukin-31, IL-31, then yes, it should work. Combination sometimes in really bad cases. Now, understand a few other things, that a lot of times dogs that have these allergies have secondary infection. If you just treat the allergy, the Cytopoint, and you treat the fleas but not the secondary infection, they're still going to scratch. Also, if there's some sort of contact irritant that's causing the scratching, then they're still going to scratch. If there's a food allergy, you might not get the same benefit from the Cytopoint and or Apoquel or a combination thereof. I've had some cases that we've had to resort to the good old-fashioned corticosteroids. I have a tough case I sent to a dermatologist. They put the dog on Atopica, cyclosporine. So I think that if you have something it should be working but not, I would talk to your veterinarian and maybe also consider a consult with a board-certified veterinary dermatologist, and also maybe some more diagnostics. There may be something else going on that is causing all this scratching. So good luck with it, and if you could check back with us, I'd love to know what they find if you see a specialist. Okay, next up. Any tips for home dental care for dogs? Mine hates his toothbrush. So, interestingly, yes, there are a number of options. Of course, brushing the teeth is the best way to go. And if they don't like the toothbrush, first of all, I find a lot of dogs don't like when you go at them. So instead of, opening their mouth and shoving the toothbrush at them, what I like to do is first get them used to the whole process. And I first start with a little bit of paste, the dog toothpaste, on your finger, and just kind of massage the gums, and sometimes come from behind them. So you're going, instead of this way at them, come from behind the side and start rubbing around both sides. Let them get used to the taste, and always like to associate it with something good. So have their favorite treat, or do it just before their walk, or just before a meal. So they know that when you're coming at them and they're going to get that toothpaste in the fingers and something in the mouth, they're going to get something good afterwards. And then from the finger, I graduate to the little finger brush. Most of the kids come with a little finger brush and start doing the same thing. They have little bristles. They get used to it. They get used to the process. And once they've got that done, then you start with the toothbrush. The goal is go slow. And, if you're starting as an adult dog and right away you're going to get the toothbrush out, they're not going to like it. You got to start from square one. And, as I said, go slow and gradually increase the length of time and how aggressive you are, but always make the association with something positive. Now, other things other than brushing, there are some good water additives. There are some good doggy toys that they can play with that are good for the mouth, treats that are good for the teeth. So there are other things that you can do. There are even diets that are dental diets. So speak to your veterinarian. Of course, nothing replaces good brushing. And another thing that we found works really well, look for products that have sea kelp. Sea kelp has the active ingredient Ascophyllum nodosum. And Ascophyllum nodosum works really well to help cut down the amount and the speed of buildup of tartar in the mouths. So once you get your dog's teeth professionally cleaned, look for a product that has the sea kelp in it, Norwegian sea kelp, Japanese sea kelp, whatever. It's really good. Ascophyllum nodosum. My daily canine care does have the sea kelp in it. So it really is a great additive, and it's a great supplement to help at least cut down on the amount of tartar your dog builds up. Okay, last one. What has been your most difficult breed to work with? I don't really have any particular breed. I mean, there's some dogs that are tough. We know they're tough, very aggressive. So it doesn't really bother us. I mean, sometimes some of the toughest ones are the little dogs, like we used to call Chihuahuas land sharks because they're so quick. Look, actually, I'd rather work with a very aggressive dog than a very aggressive cat. I mean, cats they can really get you, and they're so fast, and they're so much more limber. You can't use any kind of force on a cat. They're much better with their back legs, and their bites are much more dangerous. So I'd rather work on a tough dog than a really tough cat. But I guess, it really is, we try to make the experience sort of enjoyable. It's amazing. I've been doing this for 37, almost soon to be starting my 38th year next month. And I have had very, very few incidents of really bad bites or injuries. I had no permanent injuries at all. My worst injury was when I was 5 and my own Doberman got me by the face and I had plastic surgery. But other than that, I've had some bites over the years, mostly my fault. But I would say that the vast majority of my patients across the board actually love coming into the vet. They love seeing us. So I don't want to label a breed. I mean, there are different things about different breeds that have their problems. But a difficult breed, I'd say the most difficult cases would be cases that are hard to solve or that there's just no solution for. Those are the ones that sort of get me the most. Well, anyway, don't go away. When we come back, we're going to do some more talking and anything else you want to talk about. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask them. And when we come back, I will chat with you and answer your questions. We'll consider them like my AMAs that I do every week. As a matter of fact, I have 4 more that I'm going to do today. So anyway, we'll be right back after these short messages. See you.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And welcome back. We're here live with Dr. Jeff Werber here on Pet Life Radio's Ask the Vet with Dr. Jeff. And during the break, I got some really, really good questions from my Instagram audience, my friends. So here we are for this week's AMA's first one. How can I train my cat out of scratching the furniture? He's a 1-year-old neutered male. Well, first of all, it's very natural for cats to scratch. You want to get them to positively enforce going to a scratching post. And you can start by putting a scratching post right in front of the furniture that he is currently scratching with some treats on it, maybe some catnip to attract him to the cat post. And give him a challenge. Like if it has different perches on it, you put treats on different parts of the perch. So as he goes higher in scratching, he will obviously get rewarded. So he's going to think the reward is coming from the post. Now you also want to make the furniture much less appetizing, if you will. So how do we make it less attractive? We'll put some big, thick carpet plastic runner over it. If they can't dig their nails into it, it's just no fun. So, that's one thing. You can also take, it's a little dirty trick, take industrial strength double-sided tape and you put it on the couch or the piece of furniture. And when they get up there and they start scratching and their pads are sticking to this thing, they're not going to be very happy. If it's uncomfortable for them to do, they're going to stop doing it. Another trick I have, people freak out by it. It's really not that bad. So what you do, and just listen to the whole thing before you panic. You take little mouse, not rat traps, mouse traps. You set it, but now you turn it upside down and put a piece of paper over it, like just an 8.5 by 10, like a printer paper. Now, what happens is when the cat will jump up on the furniture and start to scratching, inevitably it's going to have to go on top of this paper. When it does, it's probably going to release that trap. It's going to snap shut. The papers are going to flying up in the air, and he is not going to like that. And therefore, after a few times of doing it, you won't even need to use the mouse trap. All you need to do is wherever you don't want the cat to go, just put a little piece of paper over it. And he's going to say, I'm not going there. So, these are some ways. So the two issues on that, you try to do them simultaneously. One, make the current furniture less attractive, and put a scratching post and make that more attractive. Then what you can do is once they're really accustomed to that scratch post, you can move it several inches every day, so it's not in the middle of your living room floor. And they'll know that's what they want to go. One thing to know, cats do like heights. So if you get a scratch post that has high perches on it, that might be more enticing as well. Good luck with that one. Next up, AMA. Should I feed my cat dry food or wet food? The one to answer that is your cat. Cats are not great water drinkers, and therefore we do like some canned food. I prefer mixed feeding. I do both for my cats. I usually start with some canned in the morning and then put some dry, and then throughout the day they can sort of munch and graze on some dry food. Now, I see many cats that just don't like canned food, which surprises me because to me it just seems more appetizing, and they like dry food. I do like giving some dry food. I think that, by the way, just know that dry food sometimes is even higher in calories because there's a lot more filler and carbs in it than there may be in some canned food, which is more of the meat. But anyway, I really just like to see what the cat likes. And I have 5 cats, and they all seem to like both. As you said, they get their morning canned, and then in the rest of the day or in the evening, they munch on their dry, and they do really well. I mean, again, it really depends on also how well your cat does on either the dry or the canned. If it's wet food and they do well and they have good poops and they have lots of energy and their coats are nice and shiny, then that's good. And if they are the same with the dry food, that's good too. And so if they can handle it digestibly, if they seem to like it, they run to their food bowls, then you're doing something right. If you can, I like, as I said, to try the variety of mixing the two together in some form or another. So there's my answer. Okay. Is chocolate safe for pets? The simple answer is no. It is a bit overrated, however, because, I've had people call me and my dog ate an M&M and they want to rush to emergency. So obviously white chocolate's not real chocolate, so that's not a problem. Milk chocolate is the least of a concern. And also chocolates in baking products. Like if they have a cookie, they have a chocolate cake. It's much more dilute at that point. As you get up to the semi-sweet chocolate, that's more toxic. The pure chocolate is toxic. Cocoa powder is very toxic. So you have to be aware of that. If they get into just pure, 100% pure cocoa powder, that is a problem. There are a number of websites, if you search for chocolate toxicity, where they give you a chocolate toxicity meter, and you can easily figure out, based on your pet's weight and what type and how much of the chocolate they ate, whether it is of minor toxicity, middle toxicity, major toxicity, rush to the emergency right away. So I would recommend looking for that. As I said, a lot of times when I'm faced with a call, I go online, I get the chocolate toxicity meter, and you can download it, and I can answer the question for a client. So the short answer is don't feed your pets chocolate. And the long answer is there are certain grades of chocolate and amounts of chocolate that are obviously much more serious than others. But don't panic if your dog eats a chocolate, a Hershey's Kiss. Don't panic if they have an M&M. Or if they have a little bite of your chocolate chip cookie. But if they do eat a lot of chocolate, there will be cause for concern. Talk to a veterinarian, call poison control, or go online, get the chocolate toxicity meter, and see, do you need to worry? Or call someone on AirVet. You can always reach us on AirVet. You'll be talking to a vet real-time, live, within 1 to 3 minutes. So maybe you should download the app, and that'd be a great solution. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.